At DC Comics, it's been a thrill to watch some of the publisher debuts over for new characters in the We Are Legends publishing initiative. I had an absolute blast checking out the first issue of The Vigil, featuring a newer metahuman team based out of India over at DC Comics. And it was an absolute thrill learning a little bit more about Dodge, Castle, and Saya. But one character who we need a lot more context for is none other than Arclight. My name is Araco Braddock, and today, let's go ahead and peek over at the Vigil issue number 2 to see if this title is really going to be able to go ahead and put forth some interesting characterization for the rest of the Vigil as well as Arclight. But before we dive deeper into the video, I want to go ahead and encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button if you enjoy our content. And I want to go ahead and introduce some additional context on the Vigil number 2 with DC Comics solicitation text for the issue. Arclight file loading. The identity of Arclight, a known member of the rogue metahuman group The Vigil, is unknown at this time. However, observations conclude that he is the leader of the group, which also consists of Dodge, Saya, and Castle, among other members unknown at this time. Evidence shows there is a link between Arclight's military history with the pirates who have been taking control of a boat along the coast of Thailand in the island destination where the contents of the boat were headed. What secret does this island contain, and is it another government experiment covered up as a conspiracy, only believed by heretics? Stay tuned for more. You are being watched. And I want to go ahead and introduce our creative team over for the Vigil issue number 2. This issue is written by Ram V, featuring art over from Lalit Kumar Sharma. We have colors over from Rain Beredo and letters over from Dave Sharpe, with additional colors coming in from Loughridge as well. The cover for the issue is coming in directly over from Sumit Kumar. Here's a look at Sumit Kumar's excellent cover, introducing Arclight as well as the rest of the Vigil team. Of course, I want to extend a very fast thank you to Adventures in Poor Taste for posting this preview of the Vigil 2 so quickly. And I want to go ahead and kind of kick off our review today by talking a little bit about Lalit Kumar Sharma's art in this issue. So really appreciate this sort of really kind of curvy line that Sharma has delivered to sort of each and every issue of the Vigil. I love the fact that this issue was kind of more stylized as opposed to DC's kind of cleaner house art, because I really do think the Vigil has a much different tone. It's got so much intrigue and sort of espionage due to the fact that it's kind of embedded within the government of India. So just absolutely fascinating to see how Sharma is able to capture really tense facial expressions. I think this scene where we catch up with kind of Captain Khan and get to know his origin over in the issue has so many sort of great scenes. I love the way that Ram V doesn't really hold readers' hands as well as some of Sharma's artwork in the issue, because a lot of this sequence that we're taking a look at up on the screen features just kind of panel with very minimal words. So it's up to readers to kind of, match up what Khan is going through and to figure out some of the subtext behind the prose over in the panel. I think this was something that the first issue of The Vigil did a wonderful job doing. And I think that maybe kind of the audience going for this book is going to be looking for things that are a little bit more on the fringes of DC. So having a book that doesn't cater to kind of the lowest common denominator is absolutely the right way to go, if you were to ask me. I want to focus in on another page that we have on the screen. I love the way that Sharma is able to capture so many details here as we kind of get the perspective of, Captain Khan changing from, a regular kind of person with a career and a family towards something else, something that calls on the kind of mysterious team of the Vigil. And I think some of the ways that Sharma is able to capture the kind of workspace of Captain Khan before he kind of meets up with the team is just such a fascinating and intriguing way to kind of stage this sequence as well. Again, I just really like all the detail that Sharma captures too. I knew nothing about this character of Arclight Captain Khan before checking out this book, but thanks to the wonderful kind of prose and the illustrations over from Sharma as well. I was really drawn into this hero and definitely think he has a really interesting and kind of tragic backstory. It's also really fascinating to go ahead and compare this book over to a title like kind of Doom Patrol over at DC. At first, I thought this book was kind of more analogous to comparisons over with titles like The Suicide Squad, but with some of these weird and kind of strange superpowers, as well as the also the supernatural ways that the Vigil kind of ties into some of these stories, especially with the end of this issue. I actually thought this book has now more in common with the Doom Patrol. Arclight goes on a mission over in this issue that's really harrowing. I love the way it kind of ties into last issue and expands on some of the plotting of the book. Also, I love the way that Ram V really tests Arclight as a character kind of throughout this issue and shows him in some really morally tough situations. These are characters who we haven't gotten a lot of characterization for, but I think Ramvi's doing such a great job with the kind of plotting and perspective for some of these issues. I'm really drawn in to this cast and what they're experiencing. I really thought the kind of cliffhanger for the first issue was so intensely dark. I was almost worried that it was going to kind of shake the focus of the series, but the way it's followed up on here is pitch perfect. I love the fact that we have an additional role for kind of Dodge and Saya outside of the scope of the main mission. I love the fact that this book has a subplot and even an additional subplot following up on the kind of reveal of Mr. Lightless over in the first issue. And I think that there is just an absolute work of art with how Ramvi and Sharma kind of continue to try and tie this book into the greater DC universe. Aside from that, here, the last page of the issue absolutely threw me for a loop. I love so many of the kind of backstory characters in this issue who are kind of behind the scenes supporting the Vigil. I love that this book has such a strong focus on some of those characters and seems to be really expanding the scope of this series over into the supernatural. I think that Sharma's line does an excellent job too when this series kind of drifts off more into the obtuse side of things over at the publisher. So I would really have to say here that at the end of the day, I'm really happy with what DC Comics has accomplished over for the Vigil issue 2. I think this book did a fantastic job ramping up some of these supernatural elements, I think widening the scope of this series and really showing what the true potential of the Vigil can be. I love the kind of characterization that's really settled over for characters like Dr. Saha in this issue. I also really enjoyed the characterization in particular for Arclight and the way that Ramvi and Lalit Kumar Sharma basically invest so much in the details instead of just spelling out what the character is going through. I want to know from you, what are some of your thoughts over on this follow-up chapter for the Vigil? Did you think it was as good as I did? And are you captivated by the cliffhanger that's even more wild than the first? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming to check out our video review over on Vigil number 2. And we'll be back covering everything We Are Legends, the Vigil, and DC Comics. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.